Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 9 of the 46th Mill Valley Film Festival. It's such a pleasure to have you all here tonight. Thank you for coming. We are so proud to be showing Nyad, the West Coast premiere of this film. And we have with us tonight Chai Vasarhelyi, who is the co-director of this film with her husband, Jimmy Chin. This is her first narrative feature debut, but it comes with so much experience. And this is a beautiful story of two women, and we just could not be prouder to be showing this to you tonight. We have a very important sponsor that we'd like to thank tonight, and that's the Marin Community Foundation. We have been very fortunate that the very first year that they came into existence, they supported us back when we were 2 or 3 years old with a budget somewhere below $15,000. Obviously, we've grown and we become an important part of the community. And that is the exceptional part of this journey. As you can see on the screen, and I'm presuming it's there, I'm not going to turn around. It's the QR code. And I want to thank everybody because we have a substantial goal for our resiliency campaign that will go through the end of the year. It's been extremely challenging for nonprofits, and especially those that are in the arts, and particularly those in the arts who deal with venues and public screenings. So it's very important that we have this relationship with our community. Many of you are members. Many of you have given to the resiliency campaign, and I'm happy to announce of the $100,000 match that was our target, we are halfway there. So we have 3 days to meet that goal. So thank you to those who have given, and I appreciate any support that we continue to get.
We're halfway there?
We are halfway there.
Oh my gosh, it's changing by the moment. That's great. People really know how to use QR codes here. That's fantastic. And I want to reiterate what Mark
you can call them in too. We can take money any way you want to give it.
I want to reiterate what Mark was saying about the Marin Community Foundation, and just like a huge thank you. Their support of both tonight's event, but also for our equity initiative, Mind the Gap. Marin Community Foundation, and actually Netflix as well is a big, supporter of Mind the Gap. But the Marin Community Foundation is a proud, longtime supporter of Mind the Gap because they understand that we need to shine a bright spotlight on the inequities that exist in this industry and fix them. So thank you to Marin Community Foundation for being the foundation of the work that we've been doing with our equity initiative. Thank you. And as I mentioned, Netflix also has been a huge supporter of Mind the Gap, and they are behind this film tonight. And I would like to welcome to the stage Chai Vasarhelyi, director. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Mark. Thank you, Zoe. Hello, Mill Valley. I feel like this is kind of our, So a few things. You all heard the Resiliency Fund, right?
You got it.
They're almost there. We need to support them. And truly, when you think about Mind the Gap, Jimmy and I are very good examples of it as two minority filmmakers who a lot of people had to take a lot of chances on. So it's really, really nice to be here again. Mill Valley feels kind of like a second home after Free Solo, Wildlife, I think The Rescue, yeah. And so it's nice to be here, so thank you. I mean, I think especially because Free Solo played at the San Rafael Theater for a long time. I think it broke a record or something. Anyway, not to brag.
Please go ahead.
I know. It is. So anyway, thank you for coming out tonight. You may notice that my partner in crime, my filmmaking partner and husband, Jimmy Chin, is not here with us tonight. He is on a climbing trip for a film, which one day will play here. But he really wanted to make sure, that I mentioned that how much he did wish he could be here with us tonight. So Nyad is our narrative feature debut. It is a great leap from Free Solo or The Rescue, which some of you may have seen. And it really never would have been possible without the support of Netflix. And I can't stress this enough, as well as our wonderful producers, Teddy Schwartzman and Andrew Lazar. Checking what I'm supposed to say. Jimmy and I are attracted to stories about humans who push kind of the idea of what's possible. It's like this, the idea of in a way, like this idea to be able to have an audacious dream, to put in the work to do it, is what is essentially human. And when we first read the script for Nyad, we both looked at each other and said, Diana Nyad's story is just that. Here's a woman who's not afraid to have ambition, to have a crazy dream, to say that she's not finished, and to pursue it. And, it was also a wonderful opportunity to create two very rich roles for women, and two female actors who are the best of their generation. So keeping in mind that we had never directed actors before, I think it's fair to say that we won the jackpot, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
When Annette Bening agreed to play the role of Diana Nyad, and she committed to the 1 year of training to prepare herself for the physical demands of the role. And she's still swimming, just so everyone knows. And also her commitment to kind of play a woman in her full complexity, warts and all, sharp elbows, likable or not likable. And then, it was kind of like we were really spoiled when Jodie Foster agreed to play the role of Bonnie Stoll. And in many ways, it's Bonnie's story that is the beating heart of this film. So we have some very special guests tonight. So I please encourage you to stay around for the Q&A. And and we so wish that Diana Nyad could be here with us tonight, but she, like Annette Bening and Jodie Foster and Risa Fons, is a member of SAG. And we do really respect the fight that they're, engaged in right now. It's really important. So, I just hope that Bonnie and Diana's story serves as just a reminder or an inspiration to that it's never too late to achieve your dreams, especially with a great buddy next to you. Okay, so enjoy the film.
Woo. Please welcome back Chai Vasarhelyi. Oh, there you are.
And it's my great honor to invite to the stage Bonnie Stoll, the real one, real Bonnie. I don't see her. Oh,
A big Mill Valley welcome to Badass Bonnie.
Yeah, yo,
Woo.
I like it.
Can I just say we all need a Bonnie Stoll in our lives?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Where to start? I mean, where did you start with this, Chai? I mean, louder, closer, or louder?
Louder.
Okay, where I started with all of this was I remember when I was 8.5 months pregnant with my first child, and I heard about Diana making that swim in 2013, and I was like, if she could do that, I can definitely deliver this kid. No, I mean, it was basically a task of like enlightened producing where Teddy Schwartzman and Andrew Lazar had seen Free Solo and they put 2 and 2 together. And when Jimmy and I read the script, we knew this was exactly the type of film we wanted to make.
So, what drives someone to do what?
Well, I wish I knew. It is a drive that I don't think many people do have. Chai's husband, Jimmy, is another one that has
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, you have to be a little left to center, I believe.
I think? I mean, I'd love to unpack that a little bit. I mean, what is it that makes Nyad and Jimmy really drive towards these extraordinary goals? I mean, is it a spiritual thing? Is it a
No, I think
physical thing? Is it-
it's a matter of people like that showing us that you cannot put a limit on the will of a human, because we don't know where that's going to end,
Right.
and they keep testing it.
Yeah. Yes. Over and over again. I mean, this is such an extraordinary story. I would love it if you would just talk a little bit about coming from, a really substantial career in documentary and moving into narrative. I mean, obviously, your documentaries have a narrative arc. But as you mentioned at the beginning, in this instance, you're working with actors for the first time. And those actors, oh my God, okay. Tell us a little bit about that. Oh, who did you cast first?
It was always had to be Annette.
Yeah, okay.
It had to be Annette. She's just such a formidable actor, and it was really important to us to cast age appropriately.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to see that. And that real opportunity here was to create these 2 very rich roles for women of a certain age.
Yeah.
And, Annette took it really seriously. And that's the one thing we couldn't control is how someone would train, right? It's not like you can micromanage their training. And, she took it really seriously. It took her a while to actually say yes. And then she trained for a year, day in, day out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you begin, one of the things that I'm finding fascinating about this year is that we're seeing a lot of films that really came out of the shutdown, lockdown, COVID times. And it, in many ways, has affected the way that the work ultimately happens. One thing is, it gives you time. Is that a part of what happened with this?
Yes, we had started flirting with this before the pandemic. And then Julia Cox and myself and Jimmy worked on the script through part of the pandemic, and then Annette came on board, and the extra time really helped. I mean, in our doc work is what we learned, the more time you can put into something, the better it is, just period. And it also made these meetings really special, that you could kind of move mountains to actually get Annette and Jodie, myself, Jimmy, and Julia at a table and to work through things and to read through things. And I think likewise to Annette and Jodie and Bonnie and Diana's great credit, they put in the time to get to know each other and get to know each other as kind of friends, it was important to Annette and Jodie to hang out with Bonnie and Diana together, as well as spend a lot of time with them alone, individually. So, yes, time is only a good thing.
Yeah. So, Bonnie, did you feel like you'd struck gold when you got Jodie Foster to be your alter ego?
I think I struck gold when I decided to make this movie first.
Yeah.
So this movie is based on Diana's book, Find a Way.
Right.
And I'd like to call out somebody who is probably the best book agent and Diana's book agent here tonight. Amy, have a stand.
Right.
Hey, I didn't know that. Hi, Amy.
So the whole experience has been completely surreal and honorable and just, I'm having a good time.
Good.
Yeah.
So, when she wrote the book, so you're doing a call out to her book agent. The book agent was selling the film rights at one point. You don't have to speak to that.
Know.
Yep.
Andrew Lazar, who's one of our producers, read the book and
Got it. Okay.
he's clearly a friend here.
Yeah.
Great.
And I mean, he's amazing, but he's also like dogged in his pursuit of something that he wants.
Yeah.
And he really pursued this property, and he pushed it, and eventually, kind of got this team together. But it took him. I mean, he probably got the book rights, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
Like, it took a long time.
Yeah. So when she first wrote the book, how did you feel about being represented in someone else's words?
I'm just being represented, so what's not to like? You know?
Fair enough. So the film really works with both a lot of stuff emotionally and a lot of stuff technically. What was the, and you've come from making documentaries. When you were planning and scheduling and figuring out how to do these extraordinary feats in tanks of water and in the open sea and whatever, what did that look like? How did you plan for this?
It's interesting because that's where this being our first narrative feature really benefited us, in that Jimmy and I came into this being like, we've shot in the Himalayas, we've shot in deep caves, we've done things with no ropes. Nothing prepared us for 39 days in a tank shooting in water. Okay, like people warn you, it's like kind of like an old thing, like children, water, and animals, like are the hardest things to make movies with, and I think we really lucked out where we had our DP, his name's Claudio Miranda. He is famous for Benjamin Button, Life of Pi, and most recently Maverick. And he runs a really tight ship. But if I would just say, like, just look at Maverick, it's it's like the remake of Top Gun. He had like the equivalent of like a Formula One race car in terms of budget and like crew. And for this, it was like he had roller skates on. But he's got such a great team, and he is such a genius that he really made sure it protected us and made sure it happened. And I also would say that every person on that set was there because they wanted to be there, either because they had a personal connection to Diana's story and they just wanted to do that, or they liked, Free Solo, and so it was like we kind of hit above our weight in that way. So it's like from Alexander Desplat, who did the score, from Claudio, Jodie, Annette, everyone wanted to be there. And like when things got really tough, we're like, well, Diana was 64 and did 110 miles. Annette Bening is 64 and she's just been in the water for 8 hours. Okay, so I may be hot, I may be really miserable, it's gonna be fine.
You talked a little bit about the real life people, one of Bonnie and Nyad, meeting the actors. But can you tell us a little bit about how you connected with them? Did you set this up, or did you just let them do their own thing? Did you spend a lot of time meeting together in preparation for the film? What did that look like?
No, it's really a testament to the craft, Jodie Foster and Annette Bening's craft, where they very actively decided that they needed to do this research. And, and Bonnie and Diana were very generous with their time. And yes, we were there for part of it, but, we were having this parallel kind of experience working on the script and working, directly with Jodie and Annette. And this is Jodie's first role as a gay woman, as an openly gay woman playing a gay woman. Yeah. And there were very specific things. Yes, it's amazing.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And,
yes, thank you.
She's also a director, so the details were really important to her, and to make sure we got it right. And so there was a lot of parallel work happening in terms of the words, but you know, you guys were hanging out and having a ball, like in
Yeah.
LA, while
Yeah.
we were like in New York City, like, I don't know, totally shut out.
Not on purpose.
As you mentioned that as well, I mean, you and Nyad have a lifelong friendship.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where I don't want to be inappropriate here, but you maybe had something that for a while, you know,
For a minute.
For a hot minute. And then you have a lifelong committed friendship. That is so queer.
In
You know, I mean, that's a very lesbian thing.
really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to find out. No, I think Diana and I very early on realized that we were sort of like two golden retrievers just
Yeah.
playing and working out, basically. Not a good one.
I don't know. I'm happy. I support you.
Are you sure? Yeah.
I never looked at it that way. I
Yeah,
hope
no.
what people get from this film is A, inspiration,
Yeah.
and B, how important friendships are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean to categorize you in that way.
That's
but,
okay.
But it's something that I've witnessed with friends, and I think it's profound. But what is truly profound is the nature of the friendship, and that is such a deep theme in the film. It's something you rarely see represented, and the fact that it's your story
Yeah.
is really extraordinary, and I
Thank you.
think it's it makes you both incredible role models.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that also speaks to why this film was kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just think about it, like, on paper. You've got a film about two women in their 60s who are the center of the story, who may be lesbians. You've got two, and there's swimming, which is like the most boring thing you could possibly film. And then you've got two people who like are married and they bicker, and they've never made a fiction film before. And so this is kind of what I mean by
Yeah.
like everyone who participated or
Yeah.
really wanted this to succeed. And I think that's the only reason why it was made.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I find also kind of fascinating is that both of you have partners who do extreme things.
Yes, we do. You know, on some level.
And I'm wondering if, in some ways, as a director, you saw yourself in Bonnie Chai.
This is the whole thing. I was like, am I a Bonnie or am I a Diana?
And what do you think? Or
Yeah,
a
the
little
best
bit
of both
both?
of us, Chai. Come on.
I'm just the best, period, okay? No, what I will say is that the opportunity to create these roles for two women was really, really important to me. And Jimmy and I had been looking for one of these stories about humans pushing like the possibilities and like the limits, but how it's manifested in women. And it was really important to me to be able to tell the story of a full woman. You know, a woman with like warts and all, with sharp elbows, with amazing charisma, and who's like not afraid of her own ambition and not scared to articulate it. And I would say like I really identify with that. You know, like most people who know me know I'm like super candid. Jimmy is the diplomatic one. And my advice to all filmmakers always is like, it's okay to ask. You should absolutely ask. You can accept a no politely, but then you can ask again. You know, and that's kind of the point. And so it's just like the idea that you could have female characters portrayed on the big screen that we don't normally see and we should just see more of was why we're here. You know, it's why we made the film.
Yeah, honestly, you know, I mean, it makes the film radical in so many ways. And it's just been great to see it with an audience, which I didn't before. And I feel like you're setting role models in the way that you bring this out into the world. It's great.
Yeah.
Did you, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback here. Did you go on set at all Bonnie?
Yeah, Diana and I got to go down to the Dominican where it was shot for about 4 days, and I'd never been to a movie set or a movie being made. There were 400 people on the set. I never saw one person sitting down. Everybody was working all the time. It was an eye-opening experience.
How was it to have them on set?
Well, I mean, I think the question really is like, Diana is an incredibly intelligent human. And she was a journalist for 30 years.
Right.
And she made a decision that I couldn't make, which is she just let go.
Yeah.
And she just let us go make a film.
Yes.
And so Bonnie and Diana were basically on set for a day. You were in the DR for 4 days. Yeah. And it was the very end. And I don't know, like Diana, it's very not like her or like the character you see, but like not like real Diana, like to have that, I don't know, foresight and like fortitude to just let us do our job.
Even though we were out to dinner with friends who were in the movie business right before it was cast, and she says to the people in the movie business, well, I mean, what if I just played myself? And the producer looked at her, a very good friend, and said, well, it would depend on if you want people to see the movie. Then she let go.
She also volunteered to be Annette Bening stunt double. I mean, she did a lot of those things, but ultimately she accepted that we just needed the space and like kind of a hermetically sealed bubble to make a movie and allow Annette to create her own Diana, allow Jodie to create her own Bonnie, and trust them and trust us as creatives. You know.
So, one last question. That whole thing of her following the
lane, like
the lane,
LED
yeah.
lane, yes.
Yeah. Did you film that in a tank or in the ocean or both?
It's both.
Oh,
and
okay.
you know, there's like a whole. So yes, most of the film was filmed in a tank in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
The Titanic was filmed in a tank also. It was, so
Yeah.
it's not really a tank. The tank's as big as this auditorium, really.
Right.
Yeah, but just to put in perspective, like Taiwan built Ang Lee
Yeah.
his own tank for Life of Pi.
Yeah.
This was like a skating rink that we were shooting in. No offense, it's just like what is commensurate with what the film was, like the ambitions of the film.
Yeah.
But there is this interesting mix of nonfiction footage and, you know, what we filmed.
Right.
So we did have 1 or 2 days in the open ocean, but like it was hard to insure it.
Right.
For obvious
like
reasons.
literally insure it.
Like
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
And Jimmy and I are like, should we just go, you know, renegade? And Annette's like, I'm totally there. And everyone's like, absolutely not. So we did have one renegade day.
Yeah.
But it was really fun to play with the nonfiction footage of the real Diana and the real ocean.
Yeah. That is
And I think
really
that
great.
comes across unbelievably well as seamless, which is very unusual in a movie.
Yeah. It's extraordinary. I mean, the film benefits from the work that you've done as a documentary filmmaker.
Definitely.
In ways that a regular narrative director might not have had, in their toolkit. Yep. As we sort of bring this to a close, I actually have a question for the audience, and this is for you to take out and discuss over drinks at some point. Many of you know Jimmy Chin, who is the co-director of this with Chai. If you were casting actors to play Jimmy and Chai, who would those be?
I have
Sorry.
never, ever been asked that.
I'm not going to. Well, I was going to ask you, but I thought it was not fair.
Me.
So I thought
No,
we would
it's not
ask the
fair.
audience, right?
I mean, I think when I first met Jimmy, I was like, he's like the Chinese Tom Cruise. But anyway, I'm joking. And anyway. But thank you for having us, and thank you all for being
Thank you.
here, and thank you, Bonnie.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
This
you.
is just a great
really,
experience.
thank you.
So beautiful.